Executive Director Don Hazelton. Attending ringside positions, Dr. James Boyd, Dr. Wynn Hanson, Dr. Lane Yonahiro. Judges at ringside, Rick Bays, Paul Herman, and Frank Skilbred. The timekeeper, Mark Skilbred, and counting for knockdowns, Tommy Timmons. The referee and third man in charge of this title fight, Mr. Bill Connors. Ladies and gentlemen, let me direct your attention to the blue corner. This young man wearing the all-black trunks tipped the scales this afternoon at a ready 165 1/4 pounds with a professional record of 21 wins against 3 defeats with 2 draws, 12 of those wins by knockout. From Cincinnati, Ohio, welcome Frank Rhodes. His opponent across the way, fighting out of the red corner. This young man wearing the all-black trunks took the scales today at a trim and ready 167 1/2 pounds with a professional record of 25 wins against 1 defeat, 18 of those wins by knockout. From right here, your very own Pensacola, Florida, fight fans, welcome, Billy the Kid Lewis!
Give me your instructions in the dressing room. Go over all the rules. Follow my instructions out here during the course of the round. Now, are there any questions over here?
Go, Billy!
Over here. Belt lines are fine. Touch gloves and let's go.
Frank Rhodes and Billy the Kid Lewis. Frank Rhodes from Cincinnati, Ohio. And he's going to try and take the USBA title here. It's been vacated by Tony Thornton, who's in our featured match of the evening, going against Roy Jones Jr. Thornton abdicates the USBA crown. This for the super middleweight championship. Going to try and take it on the home turf of Billy Lewis as we get set here for round 1, scheduled for 12 for this USBA championship. Both men in black trunks, and Frank Rhodes has the inscription Chili, which is his nickname, as the only trim that either fighter is garnered in this fight.
Once again, you'll see difficulty throwing jabs by either fighter. Since one is left-handed and one is right-handed, you could very well have a situation where they jab each other and connect on gloves. You should be seeing some right-hand leads by Rhodes and maybe a left-hand lead or two by Lewis, which usually works against a person that is of the other persuasion, right-handed versus left-handed.
Lewis characterized as a counterpuncher and a big banger. He's actually flirted with fighting as a light heavyweight throughout a good portion of his career. Got started late, began boxing at 24, now 32 years of age. Alton Merkerson has taken him under his wing. Started out in the Jones stable with Roy Jones Sr. as his trainer. Huge left hand there, lands squarely in the face of Rhodes. The first meaningful action of this fight.
This is the second title fight lifetime for each fighter. They both lost in their first bid for a championship, with Billy Lewis being stopped by Ernest Mateen for the IBF Continental America's light heavyweight title in October of '93, and Rhodes losing to Brian Brannon in April for the NABF super middleweight title.
Lewis on a 4-fight winning streak since that loss to Mateen. TKO'd in the 10th round on October 6th of '93. Rhodes showing us lightning-like quickness with his jab as he landed a couple of solid pops with the left hand to the face of Lewis. Like a couple of evenly matched fighters competing here.
Good left hand there by Lewis after a right hook landed about 3 seconds before.
Lewis standing kind of square against the opponent, Rhodes. Not necessarily in a typical left-handed posture. No, he goes more conventional, goes downstairs and works the body as the two fighters clinch near the neutral corner.
Lewis seems to be looking for that right hook, when Rhodes drops his left hand. You might see that happen a couple more times before the night is over. There's a left-hand lead that we talked about at the start of the fight.
Left-hand lead, often an effective weapon for southpaw fighters. Another popping jab gets in by Frank Rhodes. two guys with a fast-paced first round here. Feeling out process has been painful for both men.
There's a right-hand lead by Rhodes that just barely glances off the gloves of Lewis.
15 seconds to go in the first round of the scheduled 12-rounder. Hot pace. Begin this fight for the USBA Championship. Bit of a difficult round to score to open this scheduled 12-rounder. I think Lewis might have had a bit of an edge as he landed a couple of more significant blows. The power punches were there, and those left hands might have given him a slight edge in the round of score. And Lewis lived up to his billing as an effective counterpuncher. Really can bang both to the body and upstairs, but doesn't necessarily get off first. Rhodes taking the fight to Lewis may have been playing a little bit into his hands, although he was also effective in spots, especially with the jab.
I mentioned that Rhodes lost his last fight in an attempt to win the super middleweight title from Brian Brannon. Before that, though, Frank Rhodes rattled off 12 victories in a row.
Set for round two now for the USBA Super Middleweight Championship. Kind of odd to have two fighters contending for titles in the same stable. Roy Jones Jr. in the main event tonight against Tony Thornton, who vacated the crowd, as Billy the Kid Lewis, just one loss on his resume, starts out pawing with the right jab a little bit. Frank Rhodes tries to cut the distance and get inside.
Rhodes has landed two right-hand leads, and I think he realizes that Lewis may be susceptible to that.
Lewis bounces back nicely and throws a left hand out there that grazes the face. Frankie Rhodes from Cincinnati, Ohio, boxing at the age of 12. Some interesting idols, including Sugar Ray Robinson.
And, of course, Ezra Charles, for whom a street is named in the Queen City.
Never mentioned Darren Pryor, who had kind of a star-crossed affair after he won a championship. Two great matchups against Alexis Arguello, another Cincinnati fighter.
Both fighters starting to open up a little bit. This could be some good action for the viewers.
You can see the power of Billy the Kid Lewis. And then again, a left hand lands as Thornton kind of posing now in front of Lewis, and he doesn't want to stand straight in front of him. Has to keep the feet moving. Good left hand that time by Rhodes, got in.
Yeah, two good left hooks. First time we've seen that from Rhodes, although this is only the second round.
And Rhodes appears to be very much ambidextrous, equal power with either hand. Has 12 KOs in his 21 victories, not indicative necessarily of gargantuan power, but you can see that he throws each hand with the same kind of velocity.
Lewis with the better knockout record. In his 25 wins, he's knocked out 18 opponents, but there's another right-hand lead by Rhodes. He's looking a little bit better in round two than he did in round one.
Rhodes, good movement, circling the ring. Clockwise fashion against the left-hander. Tries to go downstairs and misses. Lewis backs up and comes back, fires a couple of right jabs. Keep Rhodes at bay.
I think that's something that Lewis is going to need to do to keep Rhodes off balance so he doesn't pop that right hand. And now Rhodes starts to jab back.
And a little mouse developing under the eye and some blood perhaps. Billy the Kid Lewis underneath the right eye. A mouse developing as Rhodes has been finding the mark there, and he hits it again. Square on that protrusion. Not a serious flow of blood, but starting to open up a little bit. The left hook lands on that spot again. He's taking target practice. Lewis comes home. 25 seconds to go in round two. Pace has been furious so far since the opening bell. Two fighters exchange in the center of the ring, and we have a war going on here.
Good action here. The styles kind of mesh, and I think this is going to be a great action fight for as long as it goes.
A couple of evenly matched fighters going at it. We can take this one into a phone booth as we close out round two of this scheduled 12-rounder. And again, a tough call. As for the scoring, I hate to score even rounds, but that one was about as close as they come. Rhodes may have been accorded a slight edge. in that round, and I can see it scored either way.
I gave it to Rhodes 10-9. I thought it had to be cleaner shots, although at the end of the round, you might notice there's a little blood on the center of the lower lip of Rhodes. There's a look at him in the corner. Looks like they may have already attended to it. It was nothing too serious. Now you get a look at the corner of Billy the Kid Lewis.
Keep him changing. Keep him
Get a shot of Rhodes and how effective he was. At first punch blocked, but then the grazing left hand gets in.
Yeah, those left hooks is what opened up that mouse under the right eye of Lewis, and that's what they're attending to right now in the corner right above us.
Not in a serious spot as we get set for round 3 for the USBA Super Middleweight Championship. Here we go in round 3, and the crowd relatively quiet here, even though the big hometown favorite is Billy the Kid Lewis, a very popular sports figure here in a town that has a nice tradition. Emmett Smith hails from Pensacola. Mark Witt, prominent baseball pitcher. Eric Brooks with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Ohio State star, and the crowd gets right back to its feet as Lewis pops Rhodes with a sound series of punches.
Well, Roy Jones Jr. has brought the Pensacola fight crowd alive. With not only his success in the ring, but the fact that he's been fighting in his hometown.
Lewis with a strong left hand, backs up Rhodes to the ropes. He felt the impact of that one, and now Rhodes holds on now to buy a little time. Then comes forward with a smile on his face, but he was stunned, and he's off balance, a bit spaghetti leg. Lewis misses with a huge left hook, goes downstairs smartly, and Rhodes hanging on now with 2 minutes to go in this 3rd round.
That left hand clearly the best shot of the fight so far.
With that left hand down as he tries to dig to the body, Billy the Kid Lewis wide open for a right hook, and he got nailed with one in that last exchange.
Handle that.
Billy Connors the 3rd hit, pulverizing right by Rhodes that time. Wild exchanges here as neither man showing any defense whatsoever.
I think you're getting a good clash of styles in this fight. Maybe because they're both throwing those right and left hand leads, and that leaves them open for the counteracting hook. There was a left hand lead that connected by Billy the Kid Lewis.
Straight up the middle like a fastball from Nolan Ryan. That left hand got through. Neither man showing any defense, and Rhodes still appears to be slightly shaken up as we approach the 1 minute mark left in round 3.
One other thing that contributes to the action in this fight is the fact that neither of these fighters are young. They don't have much time left. 32 years on Billy Lewis, 31 on Rhodes. And they're going to do something. They've got to do something now, and this is one of these guys who's going to win a championship tonight.
And Rhodes leaning forward, trying to make the pace. And you see the counterpunching ability of Billy the Kid Lewis as he scored with a thunderous uppercut also in that last flurry. Still pawing with the jab. Trying to land that right hand and countering over the top nicely with the left. He's Frankie Rhodes. He's still very much in this fight.
Rhodes not as busy as he was in the previous round, though. I think that left hand early in this round really shook him up.
And maybe the veteran experience as he gets nailed again with a right that time. He's changed the flow of his movement. Now goes back for a clockwise movement around the ring, which was having some success for him earlier. Good finish here to round 3 by Billy the Kid Lewis. And a turnaround in the 3rd round after Frank Rhodes looked like he was getting off the mark quickly. As we take a look at Roy Jones, been a tight man for Billy the Kid Lewis since before he began his career as a boxer. And as we mentioned, that is somewhat extraordinary that a fighter who's coming up in the next matchup, the main event.
You just saw that big left hand that really changed the pattern of the 3rd round of this fight.
Kind of stopped Rhodes right in his tracks, and I don't know that Rhodes ever really fully recovered. I think he kind of coasted through the final minute, knowing that he'd been stunned. Trying to regroup here for the rest of the fight as we get set for round 4.
But again, Rhodes is the more experienced fighter, not only with 26 pro fights, but 105 amateur fights, and he looks fairly calm in his corner.
All right. You slow.
This is round 4, scheduled for 12 for the USBA Super Middleweight Championship. Billy the Kid Lewis is on the left of your screen. Frank Rhodes took a bit of a pounding in round 3. But the punch stat people tell us that Rhodes landed twice as many punches through 3 rounds. However, you have to count effective blows. A lot of questions about that particular statistic. And the power punches of Billy the Kid Lewis, I think, have him in front by a point.
I would agree with that. Also, after that last round, the Pensacola crowd is clearly back into this fight with their hometown favorite, Billy the Kid Lewis.
Neither fighter showing any of the fundamentals of defense that the sweet science is known for. Billy the Kid Lewis has a couple of cuts. One inside the left eyebrow. We got a picture of between rounds, and that mouth that was opened up in round 2 by Frankie Rhodes. Not a meddlesome one underneath the right eye.
Neither fighter has gone the championship distance before. It'll be interesting to see how they hold up stamina-wise as the fight develops.
And also stamina could be a question for Billy the Kid Lewis, especially since he's more comfortable, it seems, around 174, 175 pounds fighting tonight at 167.5, the official weight announced at the weigh-in.
On the other hand, Lewis is very comfortable here in Pensacola. He's had 17 of his wins here, 14 by knockout.
Midway through round 4. Pace in this round, the slowest of the 3 and change that we've seen so far. They started out as if there was going to be no tomorrow in round 1.
Good left hook there by Rhodes, and follows up with a couple of left jabs. Rhodes seems to have recovered from that left hand in the early stages of the previous round.
And he was effective with that left hand in round 2. This was his best round of the fight so far. And that cut the distance. Forced Lewis to throw punches first so that he could counter a little bit, but Lewis got into a bit of a shell here in round 4, and he takes a couple of shots to the body.
Good left hand movement by Rhodes, and Rhodes is starting to go downstairs. In fact, both fighters are starting to go to the bottom more in this round than they have in any of the previous 3.
Facing down low and coming upstairs. Nice job to duck under that right hand by Frankie Rhodes as he scores and wins that exchange as we come to the 32nd mark of round 4.
Rhodes is going to win this round because he's better on the inside. He's doing a great job inside, both to the head and particularly to the body.
And he's found a method of cutting the distance. And sharp left hand has been his track to get to Billy the Kid Lewis here.
And Lewis has not been throwing the left jab nearly as frequently as he has in the previous rounds.
Does not appear to be as sharp as he was in the first 3 rounds either. As Rhodes, for all intents and purposes, dominated the action here in round 4. And the fighters go to their corners in between rounds 4 and 5.
You start waving a little bit, baby.
Listen
Keep
in
your
to the
punches
corner.
sharp. Come on. Bring that jab straight back. You understand? Bring it straight back. Don't drop it. He come over the top with some Let the stuff. punches go. Let them loosen Work up. the jab, work the jab. Don't move to your left, Billy. Don't move to your left. Move to your right. You understand?
You get in the corner of Frankie Rhodes, and they're telling him to start moving the other way. Don't move to your left, move to your right against this guy, and you might have more of an advantage.
Things are pretty quiet in the Billy Lewis corner. They'd like to pick up the pace a little bit more. And that mouse under his left
You
eye
can't hit
has
him
not
with a jab. Watch that stick in his eye, Doc.
gotten any worse, so that doesn't
You
look to
can't
be
hit
a
him with a left,
significant factor.
right
Got
jab.
the mouse under the right
Come up
eye
the
and the
middle.
cut inside the eyelid of the left.
George,
Get set now for round 5. Round 5, scheduled 12-rounder for the USBA Super Middleweight Championship. Billy the Kid Lewis starts out with the right jab, trying to pick up the pace as his corner advised him to after a lethargic effort in round 4.
He walked into a combination there.
Frankie Rhodes showing his counter-punching ability. Neither of these guys are kids, despite the nickname.
Both fighters seem to be in pretty good shape at this point, even though there's been a lot of exchanges here, Jeff.
The legs of Lewis looked a little bit tired in round 4, but he comes out quickly here in this 5th round.
He's thrown more jabs already in the 5th round than he did the entire 4th round.
He does struggle some with his balance, and he gets nailed as a result of it, off balance, as he came back for an exchange with Rhodes, and Rhodes took advantage and landed a bomb of a right hand. And another right. Crushing right hands this time by Frank Rhodes. And he's found the secret now, ducking under the punches of Billy the Kid Lewis. who seems to have lost the mark on Frank Rhodes.
I'll tell you, if Rhodes can stay inside of Lewis, I think that he's got a big advantage.
And he's been very effective, slipping punches to Lewis's right, and then coming back over the top and getting inside, ducking back inside, taking a different angle, and a clean shot to the target, the chin of Billy the Kid Lewis. Good work by the corner to give him that advice, and he's following up on it.
One of the things that helps, even though Lewis, who just takes another combination right-left to the head, is 2 inches taller, their reach is exactly the same at 78 inches.
Lewis blocked a few blows with his face, but he comes back with a big left hand of his own now, trying to turn this thing around in the final minute of round 5. Another right scores by Frank Rhodes. Lewis trying to just load up, almost seems to be taking dead aim, and Rhodes taking advantage of that. Is the busier fighter by far.
When Rhodes stays inside, Lewis does not have the punching room to land the shots that he scored with in the last minute. But you'll notice there, when Rhodes comes inside, he just lands a left-right to the head, and generally will go to the body if he gets an opportunity as well.
Clever combinations toward the victory in this 5th round for Frankie Rhodes out of Cincinnati, Ohio, trying to score a gargantuan upset on the home turf of Billy the Kid Lewis. And he continues to be busy with the left hand. Follow it up. The combinations have been impeccable here for Frankie Rhodes. And Lewis seems to be waiting for the action, and it's not a good tactic tonight against this guy.
He's getting it. He's receiving it, unfortunately.
Tasting an awful lot of leather in this 5th round. Second big round in this fight for Frankie Rhodes. As we come to the final 15 seconds of round 5. Rhodes, the power puncher here. Here in the midway point of this fight. Good round that time for Frankie Rhodes. And he's been coming on the last couple of rounds.
You just saw Lewis
working too hard
over the ropes and have a verbal exchange with Roy Jones Jr., who was sitting ringside, even though he's scheduled to fight in the main event after this against the challenger Tony Thornton for Roy Jones Jr.'s IBF Super Middleweight Championship.
And he ends swell being applied to the left eye of Billy the Kid Lewis. They're also working on a small cut underneath the right eye. And meanwhile, the courage of Frank Rhodes has to be escalating with each passing round as he's come on strongly the last couple after a good performance. And we're going to see the series of right hands, Ed.
There's the right lead that catches Lewis right on the button. Now you see it from the overhead view. Another same shot, but from a different angle. But Rhodes landed lots of those lead rights in that round, and that's why I gave it to him, and that's why I have him winning 3 rounds to 2.
This is round 6, scheduled 12-rounder USBA Super Middleweight Championship on the line. Vacated title, Tony Thornton, who's coming up in our main event against Roy Jones Jr., abdicated the throne of the USBA Super Middleweight division to fight for the IBF Championship. Billy the Kid Lewis trying to recover from a couple of lethargic rounds now. Comes out quickly here to start out round 6. Frank Rhodes has the great trend, the shorter of the 2 fighters. He's been circling around the ring to his left throughout most of the fight. And when he ducks back inside to the right, that's when he's been able to score.
I think that one of the things that's worked in Rhodes' favor is experience. He's a much more experienced fighter with all those amateur fights as well as his pro fights. Although so far in the beginning of this round, Lewis has landed a couple of lefts, and he's hopping that jab to try to keep Rhodes from getting inside.
I have to wonder about the balance of Lewis, though. When he throws that big left hand, he seems to pause for a second. And in that stagnant time, that's when he's been getting nailed by Frank Rhodes, who's on top of him like a cheap suit.
And there once again, Rhodes gets the better of the in-fight.
That could be the differential. Lewis likes to dance during his off time from boxing and doesn't appear to be as effective inside. Though he lands there. Good right-left combination.
One thing we should caution the viewers, here at ringside, we're wearing headsets, and so it's not as loud to us as it might be to the judges. And this is definitely a pro-Pensacola, pro-Billy Lewis crowd. So because I may have Rhodes 1 point ahead, Lewis could very well be ahead. It's that close a fight.
What? A bizarre decision in boxing? Unheard of. But it's tough to question the foundation that's being laid here by Frankie Rhodes.
There's a good right
bomb also lands.
There's long as Rhodes stays inside of the taller Lewis, he seems to dominate the action. Lewis does his best at long range, and there's a left hook that lands on the jaw of Lewis.
Lewis eats 2 more solid blows. Frankie Rhodes, since the 4th round, has really controlled the tempo of this fight, landed far more blows than Billy the Kid Lewis, and also seems to have taken the starch out of some of Lewis's punches. Slippery portion in the middle of the ring. We'll have to attend to that, as Rhodes nearly went down while just backing away.
This has been a cakewalk for referee Bill Connors. He hasn't had anything to do. These fighters hit and break on their own.
An air ball by Lewis off the top of the head of Frankie Rhodes. Otherwise, it might have been Rhodes looking up at the lights.
There's that right again, coming right through the porous defense of Lewis.
An unconventional way of getting inside as he threw the left uppercut to set it up. A dangerous tactic at times. Final seconds of round 6 as we approach the midway point of this fight. And you can see the confidence building on the face of Frank Rhodes from Cincinnati, Ohio, and the crowd almost in a stunned silence. The silence in here is deafening.
That gives you some indication of even how the fans are viewing this fight, as much as they would like to see Billy Lewis.
You can see the sweat developing on Roy Jones Jr.
Right.
And I don't know that he's so worried about Tony Thornton, but he certainly has some legitimate concerns here for his buddy, Billy the Kid Lewis.
No, he's gotten up from his seat and walking over to the corner of Billy the Kid Lewis, trying to exhort him on. He's, in fact, talking to one of the cornermen, as you can see, making some suggestions that perhaps will be passed on to Billy Lewis.
Highly unconventional to have a fighter with a championship on the line standing out here coaching in the corners. Pensacola and the group of friends that he's brought into the ring here mean a lot to Roy Jones. Right now, as we go into round 7, Frank Rhodes means a lot to Billy the Kid Lewis, as he has been a menacing presence here in the center of the ring, trying to pull a stunning upset off here in front of the home crowd, and now comes to its feet in support of what they think is a champion who's in jeopardy.
It's a near sellout crowd here at the Pensacola Civic Center, which seats somewhere around 8,000 or 9,000 people.
Great support here in the Pensacola area, especially for Roy Jones. He knocked out Antoine Bird here the last time he fought at the Civic Center in a mandatory title defense. A lot of people think he might do the same against Tony Thornton, although Thornton has definitive staying power. And Rhodes once again scores with that left hand, follows it up with another blistering left hand. And Lewis is having all kinds of difficulty, not only keeping his balance, but stopping his onslaught.
Great body shot. And then he goes up with a left hook to the head, a couple jabs to the head. Rhodes is having his way with Billy Lewis here in round 7.
Firing punches like a jackhammer. Frank Rhodes having his best round of this fight. You can see some glassy eyes on the face of Billy the Kid Lewis, not only stunned by this performance of Frankie Rhodes, but also taking a serious beating here for the last 4 rounds.
It's partially blocked by one of Rhodes' gloves. He comes right back and lands a left-right combination.
He's throwing his punches in bunches, where Billy the Kid Lewis, known as a combination power puncher, is able to get off maybe 1-2 shots at a time.
And what you mentioned before, Jeff, about Lewis's balance, he seems to lunge at Rhodes, and that leaves him open for shots to the head or the body. There's another right hand lead that connects.
A lot of irony in the fact that it's usually the southpaw that offers the confusing style. And this time it's the right hand with the more conventional boxer, Frankie Rhodes, who is befuddling Billy the Kid Lewis, especially, once again, we saw him duck inside after moving the opposite direction to come right through the middle with a couple of powerful shots. Big uppercut there.
Well, I think Rhodes has figured out Lewis's style some rounds ago as he hits him with a big left hook.
It looked like one of the fighters lost his mouthpiece in that last exchange. Not sure who it was. I thought it was Billy the Kid Lewis. Perhaps not. If that uppercut could have dislodged his head, if it had hit just a little bit more flush. 20 seconds to go in the 7th round.
Lewis is fighting on instinct, not because he's so hurt. I think he's just frustrated by the fact that Rhodes is hitting him almost at will.
And a normally fleet-footed Billy the Kid Lewis, almost zombie-like here as we come to the close of round 7. Well, I don't know how much the judges at ringside will be influenced by the fact that Billy the Kid Lewis is a popular hometown figure here at the Civic Center before a packed house in Pensacola, Florida. But I have clearly a string of victories for Frank Rhodes going back to the 3rd round, the last time that Billy the Kid looked impressive at all.
Well, 2 of the 3 judges, Paul Herman and Rick Vase, are both from Miami, as is the referee, Bill Connors. Only one of the judges, Frank Skilbred, is from the northern part of the state, or central part from Leesburg, Florida. So I don't know that will be significant one way or the other. But at the end of that 7th round, Lewis did connect with the left hand.
But stay in range where you can count it.
See if he can
I don't
follow
want
up
him to
when
miss
we
you.
get
You
ready
don't
to
throw
start
that.
round 8.
All right? Straight up the middle, baby. Give me a deep one. Give me another one.
Set now for round 8 of his scheduled 12-rounder. Bill Connors, the referee, puts the fighters together in the center of the ring. That's where most of the action has been, as Billy the Kid Lewis tries to regroup, regain the momentum in this fight. He comes out bringing punches. Rhodes able to deflect most of those away, and he pats a couple of jabs in the face of Lewis. Tries to carve his way back inside, where he's been the stronger of the 2 fighters.
That's been the pattern of the last several rounds, with Lewis coming out, throwing a lot of jabs early, and getting inside, and then Rhodes just coming alive once Lewis slows down a little bit.
Lewis once again making himself extremely vulnerable as Rhodes slips off his right shoulder, then comes back to his left. And he scores virtually every time he uses that tactic in this fight.
Yeah, the more accurate puncher also is Frank Rhodes. Lewis looks just befuddled. I mean, you can just take a look at next time the camera's on his face. He just doesn't have that confidence that he had when the fight started.
Lewis coming off a series of 4 consecutive victories, spaced out over 20 years. And Frank Rhodes has been doing that all night. Last 5 rounds have been mirror images of each other, as Frank Rhodes out counterpunching the counterpuncher.
Alt Wilkerson, who is sitting obviously in Lewis's corner and just to our right, just is shaking his head and putting it down into his hands every time he sees Lewis get hit with another one of those combinations.
And it shows you that you don't necessarily need to have flashy footwork to be effective moving your feet in a fight. Frank Rhodes, very economical in his movements with his legs, is winning this fight with that very same motion.
That's right. I think that's a good term, economical. And of course also seems to have a little bit better balance.
And he hasn't been sparing with the left jab. The jab has also been a big factor for Frankie Rhodes as he continues to control the pace of this fight here in round 8. First round to Billy the Kid Lewis. The last time he had a big round was way back in round 3. Neither fighter's been down. Lewis with a couple of marks, although they have not been strong components in this fight.
See, by the end of the round, most of the shots that Lewis throws are landing on the gloves of Rhodes. He just has a spurt for about the first 30 or 40 seconds of each round lately, and then Rhodes takes over.
And in Durant-like fashion, Rhodes gets out of the way of a couple of Lewis shots, comes back, brings him towards the center of the ring, and lands that combination. 30 seconds to go in round 8, set for slow. It has been a war right from the start. Right now, Frankie Rhodes is winning most of the battles.
That's right. He's hitting him in the head. He's hitting him to the body. And as long as he stays inside, Lewis can't do anything with him.
No fluidity whatsoever to either the combination punching and or the foot movement of Billy the Kid Lewis, who is known for both those qualities, coming into this fight with a sensational record of 25-1. Good exchange to close out that round, and also a little bit of extracurricular activity after the bell had sounded. We've seen that a couple of times.
Your hands up soon as you finish your
undercard
I want
fights.
you to get your hands up.
Once again, we listen into the corner
there.
of Frankie Rhodes. Bill Joyner, Ray Cantrell, Gary McNair. Let's hear their advice.
I feel baby.
Here's a look at Rhodes inside. Lewis's best shot was after the bell. There was that right-hand lead followed up by a left hook. Joyner, who was in Rhodes' corner, was the Golden Gloves light heavyweight champion in 1962, and as a pro fought Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston, and Larry Holmes. And his advice is probably pretty good right now, because at least according to my scorecard, I've got Rhodes winning the last 5 rounds, and I guess 6 of the 8 that have been contested so far.
I had that 1 round even in the second. That could have gone either way as we get into round 9 now. I've got 78-75 for Frankie Rhodes. However, that is highly unofficial as they do a little extra attentive work to Rhodes, wiping some of the Vaseline off of his eyes. A couple of cuts in this fight suffered by Billy the Kid Lewis, who started every round virtually the same fashion, throwing that right jab. A little less impact on the right jab as he comes in with a good left hand that time, but once again Rhodes starts to get busy and finds the mark. A nice series of lefts there. Backs up Billy the Kid Lewis.
Billy Lewis seems to have virtually no defense against the left jab or left hook.
Mouth is wide open and throws a couple of desperation shots perhaps, as he has to feel that he's behind in this fight, even though the crowd has been with him since the opening bell.
As I mentioned earlier, neither fighter has been 12 rounds, although they have each gone 10 and or 11 once each, I think. But I don't know if it's fatigue on the part of Lewis as much as frustration.
And Rhodes, one of those journeymen you really have to respect, as he eats a left hand. Comes in here, hostile territory, friendly confines for Billy the Kid Lewis. Performance, but now backed up by his second left hand. Comes off the ropes as Lewis just stands there and poses, unable to follow up on a distinct advantage.
I think one of the problems is that you see this a lot with big punchers when they get into the late rounds. Their punching power is not what it was earlier.
Lewis, mouth wide open, almost agape, breathing heavily through the mouth. A negative sign, and as you mentioned earlier, Ed, neither of these fighters has gotten the 12-round championship distance. Low blow there, just a tap below the belt, blocked out of the vision of Bill Connors by Lewis.
Lewis has won the best round. This is his best round in a while.
He's finally found a right, but backed up by two right hands. No defense whatsoever. He's holding his left entirely too low.
I think this is the same pattern we've seen. Lewis seems to shoot the shot early in the round and has very little left by the time the round ends.
Watch how when Rhodes comes forward, Lewis drops his left right around his belt buckle, and he's been getting nailed all night long. There it is, throwing uppercuts, nailed over the top. And I think that's going to cost Lewis the fight, although he's coming on strongly here in round 9 and now testing and questioning the stamina of Frankie Rhodes.
Yeah, this is Lewis's best round since probably the third. And with the crowd cheering him on, he can easily garner the judge's attention, even though Rhodes may have landed more punches.
Rhodes has been the busier of the two fighters through the first two-thirds of this fight. Lewis standing almost stagnantly in front of Frankie Rhodes, even though he's controlled this round and had his best round since way back in round 3. And some heavy shots, 10 seconds to go in this 9th round. This one's been much more of a struggle than you could have anticipated after seeing the way these guys came out crisply in the first round.
We should be getting a look at some of the left hands that Lewis landed on Frank Rhodes. Although maybe the cameraman is more interested in our ring girls here at ringside tonight.
And for good reason. You can hardly blame the man for that, as a bevy of lovelies.
At the end of that round, round 9, it looked to me as though Lewis was having a hard time keeping his right hand up, which he normally would use for his jabs. He almost looked like Ali in his prime, but Ali, of course, didn't need to keep his left hand up. I should say Lewis's right hand, since he is a southpaw.
We've come to a curious juncture of this fight also. After 5 scintillating rounds by Frankie Rhodes, a nice turnaround in the late rounds of the championship rounds, and here we go for round 10. Scheduled for 12, super middleweight division. Both fighters easily making the weight. Lewis, the heavier of the two, by a couple of pounds. Stamina in question here for both fighters. Neither has been past 10 rounds in their career. Lewis, 25-1, 18 knockouts. And Rhodes came in with a record of 21-3-2, just 12 KOs.
Rhodes coming in with that left jab, and he's connected a couple of times, although, as usual, Lewis comes out quick.
You can see the nickname Chili blazoned on the shorts of Frankie Rhodes. And a good solid left hand. Now the punching ability of Lewis in full view here as the crowd comes to its feet.
Lewis is being exhorted on by his corner. He's landed a couple of lefts, and he's coming off his best round in a long time.
If he can put together a nice series in these final 3 rounds, he certainly has possibilities of pulling this one out of the scorecards. It would make it a nail-biter, white knuckle time, as they try to calculate the winner of this fight.
Both fighters have their mouths open, which usually indicates fatigue and breathing problems.
Lewis firing the right hand and coming downstairs with the left.
Also, you notice Bill Connors has to do some work for the first time all night.
You can really blame these guys for leaning on each other a little bit. The bigger guys, as you get above the middleweight ranks, this has been a fast-paced fight. Neither man backing off. Not a lot of clinches in this one. Neither man has been down.
These last couple of rounds are going to come down to who wants it more, because they're obviously both getting tired.
You can almost see the will of the fighters starting to emerge as the critical factor as Connors calls time and checks the gloves of both men. First Lewis and now Rhodes, and he's got to call timeout. Do a little repair to the gloves of Frankie Rhodes, and they may ultimately have to change one of the gloves. I think one of them has a tear.
This is reminiscent of maybe not exactly, but since there haven't been knockdowns with Jeff Louis and Muhammad Ali, formerly Cassius Clay, for Henry Cooper in London. Cooper nailed Ali with a left hook, and many people have suggested that Angelo Dundee, Muhammad Ali's trainer, sliced one of Ali's gloves to stall for time and give Muhammad Ali, then known as Cassius Clay, more time to recuperate.
Angelo hails from our hometown of Miami. Will never admit to that, though, although he always brings a wry smile to his face whenever that theory is brought to light. Bill Connors, the referee, calling time and admonishing the corner of Alton Merkerson, Billy the Kid Lewis corner, from coaching during his timeout. There you see the gloves being exchanged as the USBA officials administering to Frankie Rhodes. And we've seen a change of momentum in this fight as well in the last round and a half, as it looks like Lewis, not necessarily with the same hand and foot speed that he had earlier in the first couple of rounds, has come back to life and resurrected his chance and hope of winning this fight.
Meanwhile, while they're changing the gloves of Frank Rhodes, Bill Connors has been warning Al Merkerson in the Billy Lewis corner from coaching his fighter in Florida. That is against the rules, and Connors has gone over and made it very, very clear that whether there's action going on in the ring or not, he's not going to tolerate coaching from the corner.
And they take it very seriously. Don Hazelton, the Florida boxing commissioner, admonished everybody in the pre-fight instructions, and there you get a look at Merkerson, who seems a little bit sedate in the corner. A heck of a stable of fighters, including Roy Jones Jr., will be in the main event. I think this has to benefit Billy the Kid Lewis, though, also, this stoppage.
I'm not so sure about that. I thought that Lewis had his best round in the 9th round and seemed to start a little faster here in the 10th.
And Rhodes, who has a little bit of a facial resemblance to Aaron Piper, now comes out like that. Hustles across to the center of the ring. Ready now to go here with the remainder of round 10.
They're going at it toe-to-toe inside.
You had a feeling this break might inspire some action. And right in front of us, Billy the Kid Lewis holding and hitting, and Connors should warn him for that, and he does. Holding on the back of the head, another Ali tactic. You'll remember that fight in Madison Square Garden with Joe Frazier, where Ali held the back of the neck. Frazier needed a chiropractor after
Good
that.
left hook by Rhodes landed on the chin of Lewis.
Rhodes was starting to go away from the things that were working so well for him from round 4 to
Lewis back to the big left.
a seesaw affair here for the USBA middleweight, super middleweight division championship. Lewis kind of leaning that right hand on Rhodes, trying to hold him still. Load up, throw a couple of howitzers with the left. Clearly his stronger hand.
Capacity crowd here at the Pensacola Civic Center, certainly getting their money's worth on this fight.
Been a dogfight. Left grazes face of Billy the Kid Lewis. But this has been another favorable round for Billy the Kid as we come to the close of round 10. An intriguing matchup for the vacated title head, as Billy the Kid Lewis, who appeared to be falling desperately out of this fight, losing on our scorecards rounds 4 all the way through 8, has found some inner resolve and been able to bounce back in this one, taking the last 2 rounds on my scorecard, and that makes it a 1-point fight on my card as we go to the final 2 rounds.
I've got Rhodes ahead by 2 points, but it could easily be 1 point, especially here in Pensacola, which is Billy Lewis's hometown and Roy Jones Jr.'s hometown.
Action got furious right after that timeout was called. Billy the Kid Lewis got the better of it. There you see Lewis with the jab, sticking that right hand out there. Two fighters come together.
There's a left hand coming up from Lewis.
And kaboom, right on the chin of Frankie Rhodes. Here's round 11. Rhodes comes rushing across to the center of the ring. And Lewis staves him off, ducks under a couple of punches. Rhodes has not been landing nearly as effectively in the last couple of rounds as he did earlier in the fight. Control the pace in the middle round.
Well, we're down to the last 2 rounds of the fight. Most of the time, this is where things are decided. As Lewis pulls Rhodes back up against the ropes, and Rhodes counters with a couple of left hands.
The crowd comes to a crescendo, but in that exchange, Rhodes bouncing back off the ropes, got in a very powerful right as Lewis was once again wide open. This has been the story of this fight. As Connors again is looking at the mouthpiece. He didn't have a mouthpiece. The corner forgot to put it in. And that's fairly lame. You don't like to see that.
Well, also in Florida, if you lose a mouthpiece, they'll wash it off and put it back in.
Nice right hand there after ducking underneath the right hand by Frankie Rhodes. Well, the Kid Lewis appears to have found some inspiration here in the last couple of rounds.
Both fighters are not holding back on anything right now. I expect this fight will go down to the final bell.
Well, if this pattern continues, with the fact that we're on Lewis territory, you would think he might be able to eke out a decision.
Lewis is stronger right now, although he just got hit with a right uppercut by Rhodes.
Rhodes, clearly the superior fighter when it's in that little phone booth when they take it inside. And Lewis now leaning on Rhodes and smartly backs out of the corner.
Lewis looks a little fresher as we go into the middle of round 11 with 1 round to go after this.
A superior athlete, gifted in other sports as well. Billy the Kid Lewis calling on all of that. Gets nailed again with another big shot. Frankie Rhodes does not have awesome power, but you'd imagine the war of attrition eventually would take its toll on Billy the Kid Lewis. He has eaten a lot of right hands in this fight.
Well, that's for sure. Just when you think Lewis is getting that second win, he gets tagged.
In the center of the ring, good body work, little body snatching being done by Frankie Rhodes, trying to pile up 2 points. For some reason, that has less effect and impression on the judges than the work upstairs, but
I think there's a pretty good round for Rhodes for the first time in about 3 rounds. Another right-hand lead connects and a left to follow.
and once again, Lewis has got into a little bit of a defensive shell, hanging on with that right hand and trying to set up the left, but not throwing with both hands, as he did in rounds 9 and 10. And he was the superior boxer.
I'll tell you, Jeff, not to play favorites, but you have to admire the effort and work ethic of Rhodes coming into a hostile territory. First time he's ever fought in the state of Florida against a very popular Billy Lewis Jr. and putting on this kind of a show.
Lewis unloads with a left hand. Final 10 seconds of round 11 will go the distance in this one, or at least to the final round of the USBA Super Middleweight Championship. Well, this has really piqued the interest of this fight as we come to the 12th and final round and take a look at 2 warriors in their corners. Great showing by both fighters. Hard to take anything away from either man. They've given it all that you could ask for in this one. I gave that last round to Frankie Rhodes. I thought he bounced back nicely off a couple of losing rounds, and that would put him on my scorecard 2 points ahead. I believe on yours 3 points ahead, meaning that Lewis would need a knockout, and or at least a big round to win this fight.
You're getting a look at Dr. Richard Lucy work on the mouse under the right eye of Billy Lewis, and he's done a terrific job in the corner from keeping that from getting any worse.
They've done a great job controlling 2 cuts that came early in the fight as we get set now for the 12th and final round. Good look at the determination on the face of Frankie Rhodes, and the will to win will decide this one as we go to round 12. Fighters will touch gloves. Bill Connors doing a nice job in this fight. And here we go. Could be the decisive round of this one on the scorecards. And if it ends via knockout. Lewis again hanging on, getting away with that tactic in the late rounds of draping that right arm around the back of Rhodes' head.
Rhodes is using that left hand, though, to set up his right, and he's doing an effective job so far in the early moments of the final 12th round for the vacant USBA Super Middleweight title.
And this is something a sharp judge should look at. When you see a fighter clearly using an illegal tactic, even though he's not being cautioned for it by Connors, and a busier fighter inside is Frankie Rhodes. As you see Lewis slip badly in the center of the ring. Lots of sweat in the middle of the ring, and before Roy Jones gets in there, they're going to have to try this one up.
This has been a war. I mean, these two fighters have come up with just about everything that they have. Lewis is missing with most of his shots in this round. Good defensive work by Rhodes in addition to using that left hand and the right.
And it doesn't take the dream team defending O.J. Simpson to make a case for either fighter in this one.
Rhodes land a big right lead followed by a left. Lewis comes back, but Rhodes ties him up on the inside. The inside is Rhodes's in this one.
He has owned the action in close. Will it be enough to get a win on the home turf of Billy the Kid Lewis? Lewis has only tasted defeat once. That back in 1993. It's been a couple of years. 4 straight victories after that. The left hand has a lead, and he slips. Clearly slips on that huge pool of sweat. They've been watering Billy Lewis's head, and it's dripped down. His trunks are soaked, and you can see the water just pouring out.
Also, that right hand shook a little water loose from the head of Lewis. And even though a fighter slips, I think that usually gives the fighter who is in the neutral corner a little shot of adrenaline. A couple of good left jabs as Lewis slips again.
2 nice jabs, and Lewis, who struggled with his balance even when the ring was dry, is now clearly in a quagmire here in this ring at the Civic Center in Pensacola. Inside the final minute of this fight, this could decide it. As Lewis comes on with left hand, charges forward. Rhodes inside. What more could you ask for from these two fighters, Ed?
I don't think Lewis has much on his punches at the left hand that he landed a couple of minutes, about 30 seconds ago, did very little damage even though it was clean.
I think some demons swirling around in Lewis's mind as he struggles with his footwork here on a slippery canvas.
This is a terrific effort by Rhodes, and he's clearly won this round to this juncture.
15 seconds to go in the fight for the USBA Super Middleweight Championship. And question marks circulating around this arena as they try to figure out who will win. Slip sliding away is Billy the Kid Lewis, as we think Frankie Rhodes has pulled off a stunning upset here. Well, the crowd appreciative, and you can almost hear a cautious cheer go up. See Mr. Levin, the promoter, with a very, very quizzical look on his face, as if he knows that this one is going to be a tough one to decipher. Get out your calculators and your slide rules, maybe even an abacus to count them up. It went the distance. 2 guys both had similar styles, like the counterpunch. Both did it well. We think that Frankie Rhodes might have been the more effective fighter in here. And on my scorecard, he's won the decision.
I've got him ahead by 4 points. Both fighters being shown the appreciation of the near capacity Pensacola Civic Center crowd. But listen, you know, in boxing, decisions go any one of a myriad of ways. And of course, there were a couple of rounds that were very, very close where you and I may have given it to Rhodes and the judges may have given it to Lewis. But I've got Rhodes winning 116 to 112. Even if I use an even round in a round that you called even, that I called for Rhodes, it would make it 116 to 113. I think Rhodes deserves to win.
Judge Paul Herman scores the fight 116-112. Judge Frank Skilbred scores the fight 116-112. And Judge Rick Bays scores the fight 118-110. All for the winner by unanimous decision. Out of the blue corner, Frank Rhodes!
And you got the decision 116-112 on 2 scorecards, as Ed Kaplan had it 118-110. Rick Bays seeing it dominantly in favor of Frank Rhodes. He is crowned the USBA Super Middleweight Champion, and the crowd, again, deafening in their silence as their hometown favorite has been defeated. You see tears coming from the face of Billy the Kid Lewis, and Frank Rhodes joyously wears the belt, proudly so, winner of a unanimous decision. And that's something that you really like to see, a fair decision given on the other man's home turf in what could have been a difficult round of